week on the show, I'm sharing 10 things I've learned in 10 years of business. So this week, as the show comes out, which should be Monday the 8th of August. So this week I will have been running my business, well, officially for 10 years. So I registered my limited company the day before I turned 30. So it's been officially 10 years, and this week I also turned 40. So it's quite a big week, 10 years officially in business, and yeah, another kind of decade started. It feels like quite a big milestone. I'm going to chat a little bit about that towards the end, but I wanted to share 10 things that I've learned over the last 10 years of being in business, because it feels like, it just feels like a big achievement. I'm really happy that I'm still here. There's been so many times I've thought, is this going to work? What happens if I don't get any clients next month? Like, what, this and this over the years? And I'm still here, and I think that's worth celebrating. So I am celebrating 10 years in business. And like I say, I also wanted to share just some of the observations that I made, some of the key things I think when I've really thought about stuff that is a big deal, I think, to me, things that I've come across over the last 10 years. So I'm going to get stuck in. So the first thing is around having confidence in yourself and in the work that you do. When I really look at the world of business and what makes people successful in business and my own journey as well, I think confidence is something that doesn't get talked about enough. I really feel that when you have confidence in yourself and the work that you do, it can make a massive difference to the success of your business. And confidence is something I've really struggled with. And I think it's probably coming from the other side of it for me. I just feel confidence is such a underrated thing, I think, in business that doesn't get talked about enough. I think most people know that we want to be confident, but I think it doesn't get talked about enough. And what I've noticed for me is that as my confidence has grown over the last 10 years, that I feel so much more. I'm able to show up more in my business, be more visible. I'm able to be more consistent. I charge more because I know that I'm worth it. Like, I can actually stand up and say, I'm really fucking good at what I do. And it's taken a long time to get to that point, basically. So I'm really glad that I've been able to get here, but I can really recognise that confidence, and I've still got quite a way to go. I've still got, there's still times to feel insecure and I don't have the confidence that I wish I had, but seeing how far I've come and seeing where I am now. So I think doing whatever it is that you need to do to get to the point where you feel more confident in your business is really worthwhile, whether that is just taking your time to really learn something, whether it's working with people for free, whatever it is. I did a whole episode of the show talking about whether or not you should work for free or not in your coaching business, but if that helps you gain confidence, I'm such a big fan, I think, of doing the stuff that you need to do in your business that's going to grow your confidence, because I can see how beneficial it is on the flip side in terms of your business growth. So that's number one, is to have confidence in yourself and in the work that you do. And also just to remind yourself that I think in society, you are so much better at what you do than you think you are, because we're so conditioned to think that we're rubbish at stuff, and our expectations that we have for ourselves are so high. So that's been quite helpful for me, is that in terms of my confidence, is to remember that I'm trying to hold myself to like ridiculously high expectations, and actually what I am doing is really good, and my perfectionist self is the bit that's holding me back sometimes. So yeah, confidence is something to consider and think about when it comes to your business and yourself. And then the next one is to think about marketing. Now, again, this is something that I feel that I've learned, is that I think a lot of us, and myself included, do not spend enough time and effort around the marketing side of our businesses. And I think sometimes that's for lots of different reasons. I think sometimes it's a time element, like it has been with me, certainly. Like if I'm serving the clients that I've got, and that's always my main priority, like the time for other stuff is what's left. And when that time gets squeezed, then I don't do as much marketing as I want to. And I think what makes a difference between a business being like wildly successful and perhaps successful in other ways, I think, is the number of people that we're reaching, and marketing is the way that we do that in terms of the scale of the number of people that we're reaching. Now, that's not to say that you have to have a massive number of followers or a massive email list to be hugely successful, but it is going to help. So I think making sure that you're giving your marketing enough attention, and this is definitely a message for myself. I've gotten to where I've gotten, and I have a really successful business. I love what it is that I do. I make good money. It's not like astronomical money, but it's really good money. Doing something that I love, and I'm very happy with that. But I really feel like, looking back, if I had more time and if I'd had more confidence, then perhaps things would look slightly different. So it's a really interesting one, but I think don't like, just don't forget about your marketing. I know you don't really forget about it, but just where you can put extra effort and time into reaching more people and expanding your growth and helping more people, like, do that. That's the way to think of it. And the thing to think about with marketing is it's helping. How can you expand how you can reach and help more people? I think that's a really good kind of way to frame it in terms of your marketing. So that's number 2. And then number 3 is really about recognizing that this is your journey and no one else's. Now, a lot of us struggle with comparison. I've really struggled with comparison in the past, and it can be really easy to find that you're worrying about what other people are thinking and feeling like you're being judged and feeling like your business success is being judged, or what it is that you do in your business is being judged, comparing yourself to other people. But the fact is, your journey is your journey, your business is your business, and it's going to look completely different to everyone else's. You're going to have a unique set of circumstances that surround you and your business, your access to resources, your access to time, the privileges that you may or may not hold. All of those things are going to bind together and have an impact on how your business is. And that's just life. So I started this business in 2012 and I had my son in 2014. So I had like kind of 2 and a bit years of work, and where I hustled. Like the first year I hustled in the business, but I literally had a year of being able to hustle. And then I was pregnant, and then I had my little boy, and then he had major surgery at 8 weeks old. And ever since then, to be honest, it's been a massive juggle. Like, I've never had a period of time where I've just been able to focus on my business apart from that very first year. And actually in that first year, I was still working full-time job that then reduced down to part-time hours. So I sometimes think, what would the last 10 years of business look like if I had 5 years of being able to really just focus on my business? I'm pretty sure it would look completely different. And it's just a thing. And I think just recognizing that is actually really helpful for me anyway, because that's part of my journey and I wouldn't change it for anything. And one of the reasons that I started my business was so that I could have that flexibility around my children. But it has impacted what my business looks like now. And it's just good to recognise that. And I think it just helps me remind myself that my business is so individual to me, to all of the different things that I've had going on, to what my starting point was and everything. And yours will be too. So your journey is your journey, and I think the more that you can focus on that and use that, and I think there's a line between allowing that to become like a limiting belief in terms of, because I've grown my business and I've got kids, it means that I'm going to really struggle growing my business. That's not true, but it is going to have an impact. Like I say, for me, it's just been really helpful to be like, this is my journey. These are all the different things that are factored into that, and what does that look like? How can I change things? How can I play the best with the hand that I've been given? How can I play that the best that I possibly can? Because we're all dealt a different hand. How can I play that the best that I can play it, basically? But your journey is your journey. Yes, I feel like this is going to be a slightly rambly episode of the show, but forgive me, it's all a bit jiggled up with my brain, but here we go. And then number 4 is around consistency and showing up. And when I look back over the last few years of my business, the last 10 years, what I really do feel has made a massive difference for me in getting to this point of being relatively successful is the fact that I've been really consistent and that I have shown up week after week, day after day in this business, sharing stuff on social, sharing emails, creating stuff, trying shit that didn't work, trying stuff that did work, and just continuously showing up and being consistent. I think that's been such a important part of my business journey and my growth and my success. It's not to say that it's going to be exactly the same for you, but I really feel like when we do take step after step and we just keep putting one foot in front of the other and we keep at it, like growing a business takes time. It really does. But I think when we can commit to showing up, and I think what makes that easier is the confidence definitely makes it easier, certainly with the visibility, but the passion for what it is that you do. In the early days, I was absolutely driven by passion for health and well-being. That was my absolute purpose, and I was so driven by it, and that passion was what really helped me through those first couple of years and really helped me to continuously show up. So I think any ways that you can think of being consistent. It's not to say that if you struggle with consistency that you can't have a successful business, because that's not true. But for me, that was a big part of one of the things that I've learned, was just no matter what, was showing up in some way, shape or form. I was showing up. So that was number 4. And then number 5 is to not rely on social media. So this is quite a topical one, I think, at the moment with everything that's going on with Instagram. But another thing that I've learned over the last 10 years is that not to rely on one specific platform for all of your success. I think what we're seeing now is what we've seen over the last few years really is that the online business space is constantly changing. And when I started back in 2012, I don't even know if Instagram was a thing. Was Instagram a thing? If it was very early days. Like, I can remember being an early adopter of Pinterest, like getting like an invite for the earliest version of Pinterest. Like, we've had the online spaces changing all of the time. So I think not focusing just on one platform makes a lot of sense. Looking at the ones that have got the most stability, like I've banged on about this in so many different episodes of the show, but looking at the platforms that have got longevity and searchability and discoverability, like your blog, YouTube, podcasting, like it just makes so much sense, particularly given what we're seeing. But having a sense that things are going to change and that you might have to adapt, having that adaptability in your business, looking for new opportunities, just having that kind of creative, adaptive attitude to it all, I think can make a really big difference. And not relying on social media, not relying on any one particular platform or space or method of your business, kind of like doing things in your business, I think is a really positive thing. You need to like temper that a little bit with not scattering yourself everywhere, but I think being able to be adaptable and is just really helpful, basically. And then number 6 is to do what you enjoy. So this is such a big one for me. I really think that when we do things in our business that we enjoy, like 70 to 90% of the time, if we can, like not everything is going to be massively enjoyable. There's still things in my business that I do not enjoy doing. But if the vast majority in your business is things that you enjoy, then it's going to make everything easier. Like everything is going to be easier when you enjoy it. You're going to show up with more consistency. You're going to feel more confident in what it is that you do. Like doing stuff that you enjoy, it really just makes so much sense. If you hate being on Instagram, what the fuck are you doing on Instagram? Get off it. If you do not like being somewhere, don't be there. Like, life is too short to be doing stuff that you don't enjoy. So if in your business you are really not enjoying yourself, come and see me. Book a clarity call or book a free discovery call or something. Come and see me and I will help sort that out. But if you're not enjoying your business, what are you here for? I really think that enjoying what it is that you do needs to be a massive part of how you show up in your business, because it is going to make a massive difference. And it's part of the difference between working for yourself and working in a 9 to 5. If you're not enjoying what you do, like you could be just as better off going and working in a corporate environment and working 9 to 5 if you're going to hate it equally. You want to enjoy what you do, basically. Enjoy. That's number 6. And then number 7 is that it's okay to change. Now, as I've mentioned, I started my business as a health coach. So 2012 was when I graduated from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, and I worked like a good 8 years in my business doing health coaching and working with women around well-being. But quite early on in my business, I would say even like in the first second year, like quite quickly, I started to support other coaches. That was because I'm techie, designy, and I had some background in business stuff because my previous job was helping social enterprises and charities with a lot of business stuff. So when I set up my limited company, I did all of that myself because I'd been doing that for charities. So when I started working as a coach and other coaches started to come to me for advice and help, that's always ran alongside my business. But it was when I had my daughter at the very end of 2019 when I had Freya, and I knew that my time was going to just collapse into nothing when I had her, that I had to make a decision in terms of what parts of the business I was going to leave behind. And I made the decision to no longer do kind of any health, wellbeing related stuff. And I say that, I think for me, there's always been massive crossovers, and I don't see these things that separately. I think what I was starting to see was a lot of my clients, a lot of my health coaching clients were training as coaches, which I think is a beautiful, wonderful thing. So I had a lot of people that I'd worked with as a coach were starting to either quit their jobs and run their own businesses, train as coaches and do all that kind of thing. So it felt like a really natural progression. But I really struggled with this decision for a long time because I thought, what will people think? Am I selling out? Like, how dare I change my mind on something? There was lots of blocks that came up around changing. And now the way that I look at it, and I say this to a lot of my clients at the very start of their businesses, is that your business will not look the same in 2 years. It will not look the same in 5 years. It will definitely not look the same in 10 years because we all change. Most of us as coaches have this deep connection with our businesses, which I'm going to touch on in a sec. We have this deep connection with our businesses, and when our businesses are so reflective of us, then the business is going to change as we change. It's not entirely unreasonable to believe that over the last 10 years, I would have changed as a person and that my passions have changed. And I'm still really passionate about health and well-being, but my understanding of what that looks like has changed significantly. Whereas at the start of my journey, it was very much like food and fitness and veganism, and it was very, very narrow, I think, in what I saw as health and well-being. It really expanded over those first couple of years. It massively expanded into health and well-being isn't just how you eat and how you move, it's how you live your life. And that for me was really where the connection to helping people start coaching businesses that gave them the work-life balance that they wanted to have, that helped them thrive financially. That's where that it was an extension of that, really, an extension of that self-care. But yes, I really struggled with making that change for so long. Point is that it's okay to change. Your business will change. It's a good thing that it changes. It really is, because we're all human, and what excites us and what we're passionate about is going to change as well, and that's good. Hey guys, so I was editing the show and I realised that I completely missed out one of the 10 things, so I'm quickly jumping on, not in my nice little recording corner, but anyway, I didn't want to miss this one out. So one of the other things that I've learned over the last 10 years in business is that there's no such thing as a bad business investment. Now, this has just been really helpful, not just like a mindset kind of flip, but it's just really helped when it comes to investing in my business and making those decisions, because they can feel really scary, especially in the earlier days of your business when financially and stuff it might be a bit of a stretch and things like that, and it can feel like sometimes there can be a little bit of uncomfortableness, I think, that comes with investments. Like every single time I've made a business investment, there's been a slight edge of uncomfortableness because it's a stretch and you're stretching a new version of yourself, and it comes with the territory, really. So I decided a few years ago, I can't remember who spoke about this previously, but it was just to decide that every business investment was going to be awesome, and to treat each investment like I'd spent loads of money on it. I think whatever investment that you make in your business, you're going to learn something. So I always carry that with me, that I'm going to learn something. Whatever happens, there's going to be something I'm going to learn from it. And just to know that just to trust that whatever need to get out of it, I'm going to get out of it, and it's going to move me forwards in some way. And I just find that really helpful kind of attitude to have when it comes to business investments. I know that at the point when I started to invest in things like coaching and invest in working with a VA and invest in, bigger, more expensive tech things, like that was really when my business started to really settle and really grow and embed in. So I've always noticed a big difference when those things have come along. So it's just one of those things that I've learned, and it really is, I try and kind of keep that top of mind. And also another thing I think with business investments is it's not always an instant return on investment. Like sometimes that return on investment happens much later down the line. Sometimes it's much like longer time frame than just the window of time that you're working with someone, or the window of time that you've got that you're working on a course or a program or whatever. Sometimes the benefits of that come much, much further down the line, basically. And then number 9 is something that's quite a recent thing, and I'm still embedding this, to be honest. I'm still integrating this, but as I've spoke about a couple of times in this episode so far, like I think as coaches we have this deep connection with our businesses. There's not a lot of lines. It's very difficult to draw a line around your business and say this is your business. And certainly in the early days, like me and my business were one entity, one thing. And that is awesome in so many ways, but also brings some challenges in terms of, again, my lack of confidence really extended to the business. The way that I was feeling about myself was really coming into the business, and that's fine. And that's like how it should be to a certain extent, because we are going to be connected. But what's helped me is to see, instead of seeing me and the business as one thing, is to see myself as being in a relationship with my business, and that my business has its own spirit. It has its own little entity. It's very connected with me. It's very much a part of me, but it has its own spirit. And it's from the work of Simone Soul, who I'll link to, and some of the stuff that she shared is where this has started to kind of sink into my head a little bit. And it really helps, because it helps me see like my business and what it's there to create, both in my life and in the lives of others, which is very important. As it just helped, that little bit of separation, that teeny little bit of separation really helps me show up slightly differently in my business, because it's not about me. And I think when we make it all about us, which is really important. And also like the niche is us, and I can get into this is a bit mental gymnastics, I'll be honest. But although it's us, like that little bit of separation can really help. It has really helped when it comes for me showing up, because my business has its own, like I say, its own purpose in the world. And I feel that I can serve it better from this slight place of separation, and seeing that it has its own spirit and its own work in the world that's not exactly the same as me has been really helpful. So again, that's something I'm still integrating, but so far it's been quite a profound lesson that I've really needed to learn. And I think at this stage, I was chatting when episode 39 of the show that I did with Joe, we talked a bit about what happens in your business when you reach your version of success, like what comes next. And I think that's very much where I am. Like I've all of the things that I wanted my business to do, I've achieved them pretty much. I still want to earn a little bit more money, but I've pretty much all of the other things I've got. So what comes from here? And I think part of what's going to help me with that next step of the journey is seeing that slight separation between myself and my business, and really seeing it as its own entity with its own spirit, and seeing myself as being in a relationship with it and not actually it, which I think is helpful for me. But like I say, these are all things that are helpful for me. They might not necessarily be for you, but definitely something that I've learned around this that is really helpful. And then finally, a really important one, I think, the last thing that I want to share that I've learned in the 10 years of business, is that it's about your clients and your customers and the people who you're here to serve. I think it can be really easy to, certainly when the conversations that I have, it's really easy to forget to talk about this because it's such a given. And again, this is throwing back to the episode that I did with Joe. It's such a given, but serving the people that you're here to serve, understanding them, showing up for them, giving them amazing client experiences, like that's really what we're here for. And again, I think seeing that, going back to my last point about business and having its own spirit and that kind of relationship, like that is amplified that for me. So I can really see, I can connect better, I think, with that when there's that separation, when I see the business as that slightly separate thing. Just remembering always that the people who you serve, like you have no business without them. So understanding them and nurturing them and taking care of them, that has got to be a really high priority. And I think sometimes that is very easy to get lost in the conversations about business growth and marketing and all that kind of stuff. But that those people who we're here to serve, like they're the people, they're our people. You guys listening, watching and reading this, you guys are my people. And I really hope that you find all the stuff that I create really helpful. But yeah, for you guys who are coaches, I think this is such an important thing to remember and to come back to again and again, is the people who you're here to serve. So there are my 10 things that I've learned in 10 years of business. I could share a lot more. Obviously, I've learned a lot more than 10 things in 10 years. But those, when I sat down to write the notes for this, I was like, these are the most profound things that I feel called to share right now as I almost turned 40, which brings me on to turning 40 and how that feels. Now, this one's hit me hard. Like 30 was a big deal. This one feels like a really big deal. The last decade of my life has been incredible, life transforming. I've had my 2 children. I had Finley when I was 32 and Freya when I was 37. So this has been the decade of my life that has been the babies, like having small children. The next decade of my life is going to be having like older children. Like when I turn 50, Finley will be 18, which really freaks me out. Like I always had being 40 and Finley being 8, because he turns 8 a few days after I turn 40, was always this spot on the distance that was off in the distance that wasn't here yet. And now it's here and it's really weird and a little bit scary, but also awesome. I think I've been spending a lot of time over the last few weeks really thinking back to when I was a teenager and in my 20s and obviously my 30s as well, and just how much has shifted and how I really feel like I'm very much a late bloomer. Like I had so little confidence. My self-esteem was on the floor. Like as a teenager, it was absolutely on the floor. My whole relationship with my body was absolutely shockingly bad. It wasn't all terrible. It was just how I saw myself and who I was. It was like a shadow of who I am now. And I feel really sad for myself. Like when I look at photographs of myself and I look at how beautiful I was, and I just wish that she could have seen that. But at the same time, this has all brought me to where I am now. So I get quite emotional when I think about it as well, actually. I wish that she realised how awesome she was. But anyway, so bringing on to now and just where I am right now, I think like, I'm so excited for the next decade. I think my 30s has been incredible. It hasn't been without its challenges. The pandemic and having 2 young children is not without its challenges. We moved out of at the start of my 30s, I was in a 1-bedroom flat with a baby. But anyway, we got here. We've got this amazing home. I've got my amazing kids. I've got my amazing business. And yes, I'm going to toot my own horn. But like, I've consciously created all of this. And at the start of this decade, I didn't think I could have children. Like, we were really struggling to get pregnant. And there was all this stuff. And I think I'm just sharing this because, I don't know, it was all in my head. This is a bit cathartic to share it, so I hope you don't mind listening. But yeah, lots of stuff has changed over the last decade, certainly since I was a teenager. I'm really happy and proud to be where I am now. And claiming that a lot of that hasn't happened by accident, and that I've worked hard for it, and that I've consciously held the vision of what I wanted to create in my life, and that it's here, and that's really cool. And I don't know, I think it's an interesting one because, again, when you turn 40, I think generally society like imparts this as you get older, that your health will fail and that your looks will fade and that you will become invisible, particularly as a woman, and that your worth diminishes. And honestly, fuck that shit. I am not here for that. I am turning 40 and fresh out of folks is basically the way that I feel. And I feel like it's going to get better and better. And again, for me, because I think I've been such a late bloomer, and I really only feel that I've really come into myself. I think this is probably a similar story for a lot of women, but I really feel like I've finally really started to come into myself and really find that confidence. And even I feel like I've got the relationship with my body is so much better than it was at the start of my 30s. I feel the healthiest, most vibrant version of myself that I ever have. And one of the things that I've gifted myself, I'll have to link, there's a post that I did a few years ago around a birthday self-care ritual, but one of the things that I've gifted myself is a beautiful necklace, and I've had it engraved on the back with "the best is yet to come." And I wanted to get myself something. This has been an incredible year. I've had some really good months in my business, finance wise. We've done loads of work to the house. This really has, the last kind of 12 months has really been the pinnacle for me personally. I've achieved lots of things I really wanted to achieve, and I feel like I want to just integrate that and buy myself a necklace as part of how I do that. And I think it's just having that reminder of all of that stuff as well. But yes, I'm very excited about turning 40. I'm really excited about the decade to come. I think this is going to be the best decade of my life. I have no doubt about it. I feel like my business is really ready to go to the next level. I feel like the way that I spend my time is going to shift as the children get older, that things are going to change there. Not necessarily better, but just different. And I know for a fact I'm going to really look back and miss the baby years. I miss them already, really. But at the same time, I'm really ready for the next stage of all of that. I'm just dead excited, guys. I am. And ultimately, the thing to remember, I have had a few moments where I thought, oh God, fuck, I'm getting old, blah, blah, blah. It's aging is a privilege. And it really is. One of my friends she knew someone who died from breast cancer. She was a 40-year-old woman. And it's just that aging is a privilege. And no matter what happens, whatever, just being here and continuing to live on planet Earth is a goddamn privilege. And I am so glad that I am here. And I'm so excited for what is to come. And yeah, and I'm fresh out of fucks. I'm definitely ready to move past worrying so much about what other people think. That's definitely something that's coming through over the last couple of years. I'm here for it, basically. So yeah, guys, I hope that has been interesting. I hope my total ramblings about the last 10 years have been interesting. If you have gone through the threshold of turning 40, I would love to know what was the biggest things for you, what has shifted. If you're approaching this milestone, let me know. Again, please tag me over on Instagram, DM me at Wholeheartedly Laura. I'd love to know what is coming up for you around if you're coming up to this part of your life, or if you've gone through it or whatever. And if you found those 10 things helpful, hopefully something there has sparked something off for you. But as ever, guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening or watching or reading this. It means so much to me. So yeah, thanks so much, guys. You take care, and I will see you next time. Bye.